So the last point of my presentation talks about the sentiments. What are we seeing in terms of the sentiments for IT buyers across the region, within Asia Pacific, within ASEAN? What are they focusing on? The first one is this, and this comes from our transformation survey. So we interviewed about 1,880 organizations across Asia Pacific. So we asked the CIOs, right, what is your core focus in terms of your role at this point in time? So if you can see, right, the flags represent the countries across Asia Pacific. The new role in terms of 1 and 2 represents what they say is their focus in terms of why they're looking into technology and what's important to them. So if we look at our ASEAN countries in this case here, right, they're all segregated differently, but what stands out, business automation, enable business growth, and competitive tools. These are the areas which are important for an IT buyer today. So for your solution, in terms of what you're positioning to the market today, does it address their needs in terms of, I'm looking at automation tools? Probably yes, because that's very fundamental. But what about being competitive in this case here? I want the solution to help me be more competitive so I can gain a larger market share as compared to my competitors. And can you enable my business to grow? Can your solutions enable my business to grow? Top business investments. Customer experience is extremely important. So we're talking about the omni experience right now for a customer. It's not just one single touch point, it's multiple touch points. It's using technology to permeate through the entire organization to have a more customized, unique customer experience, create new markets and gaining competitive edge. So this is one of the data which we wanted to show. The second data, if you're targeting small to medium enterprises within Malaysia or any country abroad, right, you'll start to see that if they were to look at solutions which are on the third platform, there are a lot of solutions which addresses the areas of the third platform. So what becomes a problem is your ability to stand out to address these needs. For Malaysia, for example, aligning, adapting IT to a changing business landscape is the #1 priority for organizations, the SME organizations. For 8%, I'm looking at increasing IT budget in the coming year with the mobility pillar as a key initiative. So a lot more focus on mobility. So you can start to see, right, that there's a lot of different areas you can focus on depending on the solutions you have, the market you're covering, and that's why we go back to the fact that partnering is important because you can't be a one-stop shop which does every single thing. Technology will continue to evolve. So what is the problem with regards to selling to these IT buyers? So this is our C-suite barometer survey. So we've been running the C-suite barometer survey for I think about 3 or 4 years now. And the purpose of this particular survey, right, is to get an understanding of what the IT head or the IT director or the CIO within the organization is thinking and what the line of business is also thinking. So in that case, you have this alignment in terms of, is the IT doing what the business says they want IT to do? Is the business helping IT to achieve their objectives? So we look across in this particular diagram over here, right, and you look at the key areas in terms of the challenges in harnessing IT. This represents the main areas in terms of what organizations are facing today. So as a solution provider, the question will then be, right, how will you help them to be able to overcome these challenges? Take, for example, the lack of business stakeholder buy-in. So at the end of the day, you are pitching your solution to them. But how will they get the buy-in from the other stakeholders, especially if they're looking at a multi-million-dollar project in this case here? How can you as a solution provider help them? Lack of skill sets. So they may choose to outsource. We heard of someone who does outsourcing as well, one of the sources today. So how do you help them in terms of the skill sets challenges which they are facing within their organization? So this just gives you a glimpse, right, in terms of the key areas of challenges enterprises are facing across the region at this point in time. Now, there's a shifting landscape as well. Familiar with the term of shadow IT? Okay, so typically you'll be selling to the CIO or the IT director, right? But with the different kinds of solutions today, especially cloud-based technologies, the line of business also have access to procure solutions directly from the vendor in this case here. So that's shadow IT. But if you look at the proportion in terms of the decision makers across Asia Pacific, so we did this survey 2015, we did in 2014 as well, 2013. What we're noticing, right, is there is a lot more focus by the line of business. So the line of business can be your chief operating officer, it could be your chief marketing officer, it could be your CFO, it could be one of the domain business units within your organization. So there's a lot of shift in terms of who controls the IT budget. So that also talks about how, as a supplier in this case here, your relationship has to grow beyond just the IT folks, which you may be traditionally accustomed to selling to. And this is my last slide, right? So if you were to contextualize the role of the head of IT from the first platform to the second platform to the third platform, you'll start to see that the role has changed significantly. In the first platform, when it was the terminal and mainframes, the head of IT is a subordinate. The person just reports to the business in this case, and the role is very functional in nature. But as you move the second to the third platform, what you're starting to see is the role of IT, right, becomes a lot more important. So think about ERP, imposition ERP solutions to the business in this case here. IT leaders within organizations move for being just credible and trusted to becoming influential. They focus on just functional areas like reporting to transformational initiatives like, with our business solutions implemented, we can cut costs by this much and will be more agile to this particular level. In the third platform, their role is going to change again. And now the role of the IT becomes a game changer to the organization. So that is the presentation. I think it took about 30 minutes. And it's our view in terms of how we see the market ASEAN shaping, why there's a lot of opportunities, and why I think that this event such as this, right, is extremely important because partnering becomes extremely important. So without further ado, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Rajudin, for your presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, since Datuk yang berbahagia Datuk Zulkifli Mahmud still on the way to come here, so we'd like to invite all of our guests and participants to have a coffee break.
Anybody has any question for Mr. Rajudin? I mean, it's not easy to get INSP.
Happy to take questions. You can take questions.
Just maybe 5 minutes. Any questions from the floor? About Mr. Rajudin?
Yes, sir. Roger. Constantly from my business, we are in the healthcare industry. What do you see to be challenges today to adoption of platform 3?
Challenges. Vertical specificness with the healthcare industry or overall? Overall. I think the challenge right now, right, is let's take some data points, right? So I was reading a recent survey on the salary for a CIO today. Let's take Malaysia. The base salary for a CIO in Malaysia, the cheapest they'll go for is about 20,000 ringgit. The highest they will go is about 40,000 ringgit. So if you think about a large corporation, right, who's paying a monthly salary to a CIO, which is about, let's say, 25,000 ringgit, would you dare to change your entire company strategy based on how much you're paying the CIO in this case here? I think the value of the CIO within organizations is what's under question right now. Can they convince the rest of the stakeholders within the organization that this is something very, very important? So we run quite a number of roundtables across the region. I was back from the Philippines not too long ago as well, and we ran a CIO roundtable over there. The tough part with this whole third platform thing, right, is two things. Too many vendors out there in the market. Everyone saying that they provide solutions. Second, business use cases. If I want to implement a mobile type solution, right, say in a vertical like the healthcare. What are my business use cases? These are the two key areas which I think are problematic in this case here. So the role of the CIO, can he transition? If he can transition, will the rest of the organization follow through? Secondly, the proposition in terms of what the vendors are pushing into the market to actually shape and to say that this is something which is important.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Just want to myself, Nurul Ali, Malaysia. I'd like to know that you have mentioned this LOB's participation in
Yes.
ICT, which is increasing. I know the reason behind how effectively, why the reason that it is increasing, what is the adverse effect of it?
Okay.
That is one. There is another second question. I would like to know where, as a ASEAN, we stand on digitalization, especially on paperless works.
Okay. So let's take the first question on the line of business, the adverse effect, and why it happened. Right? Is that the first question? Okay. Adverse, why the problem with the line of business procuring solutions directly. The first thing to consider here, right, is when the line of business looks into point solutions and they just look into a marketing tool. When they procure it, right, they're not procuring it and they're not using it in terms of the entire enterprise architecture framework within the organization. So that becomes siloed in nature. That's the first problem. If line of business contributes, but not in a bigger way with the larger IT organization. But it's good if they participate as well. Because without the line of business buy-in, and a lot of the budget now is shifting to IT, to line of business as well. Without their participation, it's very hard for the CIO in this case here to showcase what kind of technology they should be adopting. So a flip side to that, right, is what we call 3D IT leadership. Okay, 3D IT leadership. So it's something relatively new which IDC came up about, because traditionally the role of the CIO is two prongs. One is operational, and the next one is innovation. But it's very, very hard to do just what do you focus on operation? Is it 80-20 good operation, then 30% innovation? It's very, very hard. What you need, right, is something which is 3D in nature. You focus on operation, you focus on innovation, and you focus on transformation in the middle. So you then become, right, and we run a CIO chat group in Malaysia, for example. We have about 6 use cases here, right, is how do you, instead of being the innovator within your organization, what you want, right, is for your line of business to be innovators, you enabler to innovation. The role of the CIO is not to suddenly become, now I know everything, therefore follow me. The role of the CIO is, in this case here, spur interaction within the line of business. They know their business well, they know what they need, but help them enable it. So there's some adverse impact because the line of business spending, if it's done wrongly. But if it's shaped properly from an IT perspective, it is perfect. Because then you get the buy-in from the stakeholders to actually procure the solutions. That's the first question. The second one is...
What is the opportunity lies in paperless office and from where we stand?
Okay. So we recently did visualization. So we recently did a study on digital transformation, right? So paperless office in this case here, transforming from manual work is something which is online, paper-based in this case here. So the study which we did, right? So we have something called a maturity scheme, which we've done for the last few years, globally and locally as well. So the maturity scheme outlines 5 stages of maturity, regardless of the technology. So cloud, for example, from stage 1 to stage 5 being the most mature, stage 1 being very ad hoc in nature. Malaysia is about stage 2, stage 3 when it comes to the cloud, compared to other countries in the region. But within ASEAN as a whole, right, so we look at digital transformation. We did the study for Malaysia. Malaysia is largely in stage 2 in this case here. So how do you differentiate from stage 1 all the way to stage 5? If you think about a digital transformation strategy, if you're in stage 1, right, you are either looking at your competitors. My competitor just adopted paperless office. I want to follow. Then you follow. That's the hallmark of someone being in stage 1. Stage 1 also entails, right, that when I do it, right, I don't do it enterprise-wide. I look at it, maybe I just transform this part of the business and I need to implement it over there. That is a company in stage 1. But if we move on to stage 2, and let's take stage 3 as an example. When you hit stage 3, right, in the case of paperless office, it is an enterprise-wide strategy. You understand the business value and why you want to actually transform your organization in that case. By stage 5, right, it's a core area of your organization. So in this case, I think like ASEAN region, we are not at there. But I think the other point to take note is, from a digital office perspective, right, paperless transformation, it is one of the many elements to digital transformation. So we have listed, right, for digital transformation, there are 5 dimensions organizations have to look at. Your leadership dimension. At the end of the day, the leaders within the organization, right? And we're not just talking about the CIO, we're talking about the CEO in this case here. Our 2015, no, this is 2014 data. 2014 data for Asia Pacific, right? More than 55% of the CEOs across Asia Pacific say that they are firm supporter for IT. 55%. They actually say that. This is our C-suite graduate survey. More than 40% say they're going to reduce their budget. So you have this paradox, right, in terms of, are the CEOs really firm supporters of digital transformation in this case? So leadership is one of the key dimensions. The other 4 dimensions are omni-experience. So a lot of the times when you adopt solutions at this point in time, right, it is because you're addressing a particular business need. But in today's context, right, it's not as if everything you implement has to have an ROI, right, and a business value which translates back to your bottom line, right? So in this case, you start with your customers. How much does what you implement from your ERP actually address what the customers are looking at? So your only experience in terms of your customers, second dimension. Third, fourth, and fifth is your sourcing in terms of how you work to actually source partners in this case here. Traditionally, the IT office within an organization is it's like a castle. You don't get in, you only get in through me, you only get out through me. But that is changing right now. Sourcing, working with multiple players, multiple partners, because you are a sourcer in this case here, right, within your organization. And that is good for vendors, in fact, and to place a market. Because now, right, if you think about in the last 10 years, in terms of take outsourcing, for example, at one point in time, outsourcing is a huge thing because you're looking at lowering operational costs, so you outsource. And then all of a sudden, the IT organization got a bit fearful. I'm going to lose my job because I'm outsourcing everything. So then they want to take it back. But in this day and age of the third platform, right, you cannot just say that everything goes through me. You can't be an expert of everything. So sourcing becomes, we call it work source, that's another dimension. So there are 5 dimensions over there.
Okay, there's no other question. I will close this session. I would like to invite all the guests to have a coffee break outside and come back and get together here within
One is the future, one is the current. The current gives us the grip.